Hello, welcome to Locked on Sharks, the premier hockey podcast of your favorite team in the Bay Area. On today's episode, we're getting you guys ready for the Panthers game. We have Armando from Locked on Panthers, not the football one, the actual hockey one, to discuss the Sharks Panthers and what should be maybe a slaughter. We'll see. So we're going to get into Sharks Panthers, kind of the story of each team so far, what to expect for this game, and of course some predictions. So all that and more today's episode of Locked on Sharks.
You're Locked on Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm your host, JD Young, and joined for this crossover edition, nice Sharks Panthers, because we only get to do this twice a year, Armando from Locked on Panthers. How's it going, buddy?
Great. I'm doing well. Another late night recording, as I'm a night owl this week for this road trip for the Panthers, and great to be together with not only yourself, but a fellow sports fan of a team in the South East region for the football team. I kind of teased that in yesterday's episode of the show, as you are a fan of the Miami Dolphins and you're familiar with some pub subs around the area.
I am, yes. I grew up in Florida, or I lived in Florida for about 4 years. My dad was a Dolphins fan. I unfortunately became a Dolphins fan, and look at us now. But we'll throw a little Dolphins talk at the very, very end. But today we have a kind of a big game, especially for the Panthers here, where a Sharks team that's kind of stumbled out of we kind of know what the Sharks are, but a Panthers team which was an absolute juggernaut last year and feels a little bit slow kind of getting things going so far this year. Armando, what do you think is kind of the big story for the Panthers, 10 games into the season now?
The biggest story for the Panthers is really their forward group, I was talking about yesterday, how combined with Sam Bennett, Alexander Barkov, and Sam Reinhart, they're just combined for 2 goals. And to think that a team that scored over 4 goals a game, you thought that the forward lines were going to be the strength of this Panthers team, and that the defense was going to be the weakness for this Panthers team after losing Mackenzie Weegar due to the trade of Matthew Tkachuk, which Matthew Tkachuk has been everything as advertised. He's been the best player for the Panthers as far as the forwards, leads the team in shots, penalty minutes, points, you name it. And he's just been a treat, and he's been inserted on that top line for the Panthers to help get Alexander Barkov going. But it's been a little bit of a struggle the rest of the way. As far as the forward groups, the losing Mason Marchment was a big loss for the Panthers and Claude Giroux. But hey, they were kind of victims to the cap, especially with a lot of buyout money, with about like $6.4 million in dead cap on their roster. So it's kind of hurting them at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we know all about the buyout money and having guys, losing guys to the cap space here in San Jose. And it's funny you talk about kind of the defense. And for the Sharks, there's one defenseman who's been probably the story of the NHL, I think, to begin the season. That's one Erik Karlsson, who is just absolutely dominating right now. He has 15 points in 12 games. He's contributed. The Sharks have 29 goals, and he's contributed 15 points to his 29 goals. He has 52% contribution rate on the Sharks goals this year, which is absolutely insane. 9 goals to go out of those 15 points. Second in the league behind Connor McDavid, who word has it is pretty good at hockey. But, you look at the same thing with the Sharks, where you expected the big guys like Tomas Hertl and Timo Meier to kind of be leading the way with the scoring. And they've gotten off to a little bit slow starts. Timo Meier did have 2 goals against the Ducks, but it's been kind of a lot of the same things where basically if it's not Erik Karlsson doing stuff, this team has looked dead on the ice at a lot of times. So, like I said, with the Panthers, it's been a little bit of a slow start. They've beaten up some kind of bad teams, but they haven't really had that signature win right. And I know they just lost to the Coyotes the other night in Arizona. Is it just, do you think maybe that the team hasn't really started clicking yet, or what do you think has kind of been the reason for the slow start?
Special teams has a lot to do with it because they're towards the bottom of the league in both penalty kill and power play. I mean, this is a team that finished in the top 5 in the regular season last year. It took a second half run to really get it inside the top 5 for the Panthers, but just off to a very slow start. They got 2 goals in Buffalo, and then they had 2 power play goals in Buffalo, and then they went through an 0 for 25 stretch over a week, and it was just broken in their game against Ottawa, which was, funny enough, Alexander Barkov's one and only goal this season for the Panthers. So it's been a little bit of a tough stretch, and it's like Alexander Barkov hasn't gotten it going yet. And looking at the San Jose Sharks, looking at they were a great penalty killing team last year with Brent Burns. Erik Karlsson's not a guy who plays penalty kill minutes from what I've seen on Hockey Reference.
He does not.
But still a great penalty killing unit that they have, second in the NHL in penalty kill. So just looking at that, it just makes me it's like that gif from Michael Scott in The Office where he's like, just looking at that is just like preparing for this when looking at this matchup.
Yeah, the special teams for the Sharks has actually kind of been their saving grace. Their power play has been slow to get started, especially with David Quinn inserting a new power play. But the past couple games, you've seen it start to click. They had Timo Meier got an outstanding goal in the power play where he was tripped, gets up mid stride, and then is able to tuck one home as he's getting up. But we've seen the power play start to kind of come together a little bit for the Sharks. And the penalty kill, they don't need to rely on Erik Karlsson because of the forward groups. You have a lot of kind of those defensive forwards who they play a very, very aggressive penalty kill of making the power play guys work and attack as much as they can. And when I was doing my research for this game, I was shocked to see how bad the Panthers power play was. And if you're below the Sharks in any category, it's usually a bad sign. But yeah, I'm especially because of the way how aggressive they are, and they like to run out the 5 forwards and all that, is a little bit of a surprise to me just to see their power play being kind of so poor to start. And we did see this in the playoffs, and that's probably one of the big reasons why they went home early, is because this power play has just gone cold, right?
Yeah, 1 for 31 on the power play, and
not that a number you will not definitely not forget that number at any time. So
no. And I saw a tweet earlier of the Panthers power play on how they're doing, and then comparing the New Jersey Devils' power play on how they're firing on all cylinders. And they talked about that tweet spoke about the common denominator being Andrew Burnett and all that. And listen, regular season top 5 right now. We're still in the regular season. Who knows that if the New Jersey Devils make the playoffs, it's going to stay at that rate. So, but still, it's not a coincidence that the Devils are having success on the power play as much as they are in this young season. That doesn't mean that I'm advocating necessarily for Andrew Burnett still being the coach of the Panthers. I wouldn't have minded the Panthers keeping him either way,
mm-hmm.
But I'm still quite impressed with Paul Maurice of what he's done, because as far as shots against per game, they're still in the top 5 of fewest shots allowed per game. And this is a team that I've mentioned in the last few days that even with save percentage for the goalies that it's under 900, they're still not allowing that many high danger chances for their goaltenders.
All right, before we kind of dig in more into this game, look at the lines for each team and then kind of the roadmap for each team. Let's take a quick break. Talk to you guys about our friends over at BetOnline. You guys know BetOnline is your number one source for betting football and with the start of basketball this season. You can find out the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for your sports wagering information with live betting. So if you got a good feeling about Tua, maybe leading the Dolphins to a victory over the Bears this weekend, you want to put your money where your mouth is, that's the way to go. The fastest and easiest way to check out your favorite games and events. They got World Series still going on. You got MMA, boxing, NBA, hockey, SHL. They've got you covered for everything. So head to their websites today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Speaking of BetOnline, JD, currently there's a no-hitter in the World Series in Game 4 as we're speaking.
Oh, like go live bet that right there. Even though the game will be over by the time you hear this. But anyway, let's start with, well, since you're the visitors, why don't you go ahead, give us the line or kind of the projected lines or what you're expecting, and then I'll go next with the Sharks lines. So,
all right, so these are the lines that the Panthers have been putting out in the last few games, but I would not be surprised if there's any changes based on the middle six kind of struggling since Matthew Tkachuk has gone up to the top line. And this is something that we've spoken about on the podcast about switching the lines. But if it's anything like the last few games, top line is going to be Alexander Barkov with Verhaeghe on his wing and Matthew Tkachuk on his right, Sam Bennett with Sam Reinhart on his right, and Rudolph Balcers, former San Jose Sharks, on his
Rudy!
Third line is Anton Lundell with Eetu Luostarinen, who's now getting a top 9 role for the team, along with Colin White, which that third line is the best defensive line as far as the forwards in this young season for the Panthers. And fourth line, Nick Cousins started a little bit of the season on that fourth line center, but ever since Ekblad went down and signed Eric Stahl, he's been manning the fourth line along with Patrick Hornquist on the right and Ryan Lomberg to the left. As far as defensive pairings, we're expecting Forsling, Montour, Mahura, Gudas, which Mahura has been such a great find for the Florida Panthers since claiming him off waivers from the Anaheim Ducks. So Mahura, Gudas as that middle pair, and Stahl with either Lucas Karlsson or Matt Kierstead. So there's a switch up every single game between the last defenseman. So I'm gonna assume that Matt Kierstead is gonna be inserted back into the lineup. And Spencer Knight started the game against the Arizona Coyotes on Tuesday, so I'm expecting Sergei Bobrovsky to be back between the pipes on Thursday night on this 10:30 puck drop Eastern Standard Time on ESPN Plus /Hulu.
Yeah, and actually knowing them, it'll probably be closer to 8 o'clock or 8 o'clock our time, 11 o'clock your time with these ESPN games. I don't know why they don't like a little bit of space between them, guys. Come on, because it's the Sharks. I swear, every time they're on ESPN, the game before it always goes to a shootout. So yes. For the Sharks, it looks like there's going to be another change at the top from Curtis Pashelka, Timo Meier, Tomas Hertl, and now Kevin Labanc, who has been banished to the fourth line recently, is now going up there. Oscar Lindblom, Logan Couture, and Matt Nieto, Long Beach native. Nick Bonino, Nico Sturm, Luke Cunnin on the third line. And then the fourth line, Jonah Gavage, Steven Lorentz, Svechnikov, Alexander Barabanov was not at practice, so I think he's going to be a game time decision. If he goes in, I would probably assume he probably slides in for Gadovich on that fourth line there, but we will see. Or Lindblom will probably go down to the fourth line, and Barabanov will probably play on the Couture line, as we've seen recently. Jacob Magna and Erik Karlsson is your top pairing defenseman. Erik Karlsson, the only defenseman worth anything in the offensive zone. Then you have Matt Benning and Matt Benning and Vlasic as your middle pair. Radim Shimmick and Mario Ferraro, and then James Reimer will be starting. So old friend of you guys, James Reimer. So, and then kind of the way the Sharks use their lines, Couture is going to be that kind of defensive shutdown. So I would expect him to be seen a lot of the Tkachuk line, especially for offensive zone starts or defensive zone starts for the Sharks, offensive zone starts for the Panthers. He's been kind of getting that defensive role, but let's start with kind of the game plan for the Panthers. So we know that they like to take a lot of shots. They had a game I saw against the Flyers where they had a Corsi for of 109 in all situations earlier this year. Last year against the Sharks, I know in a game in February, or it was late January, early February, something like that. They had something like 90 plus shot attempts. They're just going to try to shoot. And luckily, the Sharks defense is more than happy to let you shoot.
Yeah. It seems like every time James Reimer faces off against his former team, it seems
Or
that
James Reimer.
he's always performing so well, even if it comes in a losing effort. And something to note is Matt Benning is the brother of Panthers prospect Mike Benning from the University of Denver, who won a national championship, got the game-winning goal for the University of Denver in the national championship.
And the Sharks goalie prospect Magnus Krona, the
Mhm.
winning goalie. So it all comes
So,
back.
so a little bit of a connection for the Panthers, but I'm also seeing a great signing for the San Jose Shark. Their third line center, Nico Sturm. He's been up and down in the NHL, but has really has kind of found a home on that third line center spot.
Yeah, he started on the fourth line, and then because Nick Bonino was the third line center, they didn't really like the Bonino line with him being the third line. They moved him to wing a couple games ago, and yeah, Nico Sturm, the eye of the Sturm, has taken over in San Jose. I think he's got 6 goals already this season. Him and Karlsson lead the team in goals. It's pretty crazy what he's been doing. I don't expect the shooting percentage that he has right now to continue, but he's been a really good signing, especially for $2 million a year. They signed him for 3 years, but he's a perfectly cromulent, third, fourth line center. And yeah, he's been a very, very good signing. One of the actual few signings right now that are kind of paying dividends for the Sharks. They splurged. I don't want to say splurged, but they went coupon shopping to try to kind of refill this bottom 6 with a lot of guys. They had traded for Luke Cunningham from the Preds. They signed, like you said, Nico Sturm, Oscar Lindblom. And a lot of these guys are just kind of dudes, and they haven't really done too much, unfortunately. So it's been a lot of almost rearranging chairs on the Titanic for the Sharks to try to find some lineups. But yeah, the forwards have not been providing as much offense as you would want, and that's probably why they're 3-8-1 right now.
Yeah, and I've seen that the San Jose Sharks, seventh youngest team in the NHL, despite still having 3 players from that 2016 team that made the Stanley Cup final: Logan Couture, Tomas Hertl, and Vlasic. I mean, and those 3 still have plenty of years left on their contracts too, from what I'm seeing on Cap Friendly. And of course, Mike Grier, the brother of Chris Grier of the Miami Dolphins, like taking the job for the San Jose Sharks, and then not really having so much time right before the draft to really make a huge impact, but still trading back to at least still accumulating picks and getting some assets to at least still have some room to work with. And of course, dealing with tragedy with the father of Mason Marchment, Brian Marchment. So a little bit of a tough job so far for someone like Mike Grier in early in his tenure.
Yeah, Mike Grier, he got hired, and within 3 weeks he uh, had to do the draft, free agency, and hire a coach, basically all within 3 weeks. It was a pretty crazy offseason jammed into 3 weeks. I wish it was spread. Personally, I wish it was spread out a little bit more. It gives you a little bit more to kind of chew over. But yeah, I mean, and that doesn't even account for trading Brent Burns, probably other than Joe Thornton, the biggest fan favorite player the Sharks have had in their franchise, and trading him to the Carolina Hurricanes to try to alleviate some of that cap space. And you talk about the cap, it's going to be something that they're going to have to kind of eat right now, and that's just kind of how it is with teams when you play for Stanley Cups for a while. The bill comes due at some point, and it just part of how it is. And it's one of those things where if the Sharks had won a Stanley Cup at some point, we wouldn't care about this, because you can always look to the banner in this, in the Shark Tank and be like, oh, at least we have that. But yeah, unfortunately, the bill comes due, and the Sharks are kind of working through that right now. Before we continue, do want to let you guys thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks / Locked On Panthers your first listen of the day. Now, for your second listen, go check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. From the games that matter the most to the biggest sports stories, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, or wherever you get podcasts. Okay, so what is the one thing that you're looking for the Panthers tonight?
I want the lines to be switched up. I
Yes.
really do want I really do want I I talked about Sam Reinhart possibly being shifted down to the third line to play with Anton Lundell again, just like he did last year. But every single time there's a 6-on-5 when they pulled the goalie, Anton Lundell is playing in those late game situations where they're up a man as well.
Mhm.
And we've spoken a little bit about in the offseason about is he ready to take the 2 seat? And at that time, one of the guests on my show, Nick Fairbanks for Fairbanks Fridays, and I said no to give another year of Sam Bennett. But Sam Bennett is off to a little bit of a sluggish start as well. Right now, averaging a career low in the faceoff dot, even though faceoffs aren't the end all be all, only having 1 goal on the season. Maybe also give Lundell and Bennett maybe a flip there as far as centers as well, or put Matthew Tkachuk back on that second line, put a Colin White on that top line along with Barkov, because superstars player like Alexander Barkov, he's had so many different players on his right wing that he doesn't necessarily need another player to get him going. He's more than capable enough to get him going. It's just really a sluggish start for him. And of course, this one's an obvious power play. And if you can get it'll feel like such a victory for the Panthers against this San Jose Sharks team we spoke about in segment number 1, second in the league in the PK. It feels like if you get 1 power play goal, even if you go like 1 for 6 or 1 for 7,
It feels
if you
like
get that one by the way they dominate 5-on-5 consistently, if you get that one against this San Jose Sharks group, I feel like the Florida Panthers will give themselves a bigger chance to come out with a win.
Yeah, for the Sharks here, I think can Erik Karlsson single-handedly carry this franchise that he's been doing right now. He has put the franchise on his back. Fans, of course, there's always he makes too much money. He's not worth it type of. But this is why you sign Erik Karlsson. He is a Norris, candidate early, 10 games in this season right now. And this is the best hockey we have ever seen him play in San Jose. This is like reminiscent of 2017 Ottawa from him right now, where he is putting a franchise on his back and dragging them to relevance. And can he get some help? I mean, we've seen Timo Meier, very slow start. He has 3 goals on the season. Didn't get his first goal until a couple games ago. Tomas Hertl has 1 goal. He scored the first game of the season, and then he's been silent since then. But he has been producing on the assists. I think he has 6 assists in his last 5 games. So starting to see these guys come together. If Hertl can kind of help pick up the slack, that way it's not just Karlsson having to do it all, then you can see this team start to be a little bit more competitive, and then just hope that you can continue to squeeze out a little bit of secondary scoring from guys like Nico Sturm, if maybe Oscar Lindblom can get going a little bit here, just guys like that. But yeah, I mean, for the Sharks, though, it's going to be, you have to win the special teams battle. You have to shut down this power play that hasn't been doing much this year. And the Sharks did a really good job against a really bad power play against the Ducks on Tuesday night. And then your power play has to do something, because you're most likely going to lose the 5-on-5 battle against this Panthers team. So if you can hang in there at 5-on-5, and then you can dominate on special teams, that's how you take advantage of a team that is on paper a much more talented team than you are.
Yeah, and Erik Karlsson, there's going to be so many eyes on Karlsson. And I saw that highlight reel goal that he had where he blocked the shot against the Toronto Maple Leafs and then took it all by himself to score a goal. I'm like, wow. And
the best part of that is someone asked him, "What did you see?" He's all, "Nothing. There was nobody in front of me."
and before he shaved and just had the mustache, he kind of had a little bit of that Doctor Strange look to him. I don't know how many people in the Sharks fan base have spoken about that.
I don't know, but have you seen David Quinn, though, is got the Doctor Strange. Like, David Quinn looks like he could, if he wasn't a coach, he could totally be like one of those like Doctor Strange performance people in the street who, like that's their job, is just to perform. Yeah, he could totally do that, David Quinn. So, but now Karlsson, he's got the Peaky Blinders look. He showed up, looked good, played well, had a hat trick. I mean, what more could you ask for him? So
His first career hat trick, mind you. And forget about Norris. How about Hart Trophy candidate for
Give him the
Erik
rocket.
Karlsson?
It's
And with how he's doing, I mean, there's only 2 players who have won 2 Norris trophies who aren't in the Hall of Fame. And those 2 players are because they're not even eligible
they're
yet.
not eligible. Yep.
Duncan Keith
Who's going to
and
go
Erik
in?
Karlsson.
Who's going to
And
go in?
Duncan Keith is going to be in. And Duncan Keith also Conn Smythe Trophy winner too. So he's going to get in. So
Yeah, Erik Karlsson will be in the Hall of Fame. It's no one of the greatest defensemen of our generation, and it's just nice to see him have this renaissance season right now. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I'm enjoying every second of it until it ends. So, with that, Armando, who do you got tonight?
Man, every trend for the Panthers, especially with special teams, says that they shouldn't win this game of going out west and all that stuff. But I just think with how bad of a performance they had, this is a perfect opportunity to just get back in their winning ways. And if like I said, if you can get one on the power play, you're giving yourself a great opportunity to win. And this is I don't know if it does happen in tonight's game. But I'm gonna look for a bounce back for this Panthers team after they dominated the Arizona Coyotes 5-on-5, but still came out on the losing end, because eventually those goals are gonna go in. At least we hope. We keep saying it, but it feels like we're just shouting something that's not happening right now. But hopefully those goals will go in, and maybe a little bit of line changes for the forwards.
All right, what's
I'm
the
gonna
score?
say maybe 3-2.
All right. I got 4-2 Panthers. Yeah. I mean, I know what Erik Karlsson is doing right now is amazing, but the Panthers, it's been a slow start for them, but this feels like a very much of a get-right game for them. That 5-on-5, the Sharks gave up 44 shots to a very, very bad Ducks team the other night and lost 6-5. And I know Reimer has been spectacular in net so far this year, but you can't keep asking James Reimer to bail you out, especially what the onslaught he's probably going to get faced tonight. So I got 4-2. I got Karlsson scoring and then assisting on a Tomas Hertl goal. Tomas Hertl scores as well, but yeah, 4-2 Panthers.
Yeah, and at this point, you expect Karlsson to get on the scoreboard in any which way at this point.
It's the only thing until this guy shows up. It's the only thing I have. I have right now is Erik Karlsson just being awesome. So, let's dive into some Dolphins talk because I don't get to talk Dolphins stuff. So, okay, this is if you're done listening to Sharks, Panthers, we appreciate you. If you want like 5 minutes of Dolphins talk, because yes, we're a little jealous of Kyle Krabs who gets to talk about Dolphins stuff all day. But all right, the Dolphins 5-3. Made a big acquisition for Chubb. How do you feel about the trade?
I love it. I love everything about it, because it's funny because I was talking to a friend on Halloween, and we were talking about should they trade for a running back or should they trade for a pass rush, and I was saying games are won and lost in the trenches, and you gotta help the secondary with Byron Jones being out still probably until December. And this trade also says that Byron Jones is going to come back a little later. He's going to play sometime this season. And of course, there's a little bit of the injury with Liam Eichenberg, but Austin Jackson's coming back. Strange to say that Austin Jackson is coming back, and we're celebrating it after the first few seasons that he's had. But think about this trade for Laremy Tunsil when they traded 2 first-round picks.
Masterful trade. Trade.
It ended up being 4 because how bad the Texans were two seasons ago. Trading back up to get Jalen Waddle.
Love
and
it.
Then ended up getting Tyreek Hill.
Love it.
Bradley Chubb.
Love it.
Even though Noah Igbenogany hasn't really worked out, he got his game-stealing interception against the Steelers. In that one, they used the other one to trade up for Solomon Kidley in the 4th round as well, even though he's been in the doghouse for the Dolphins as well. So a lot of flexibility that Chris Grier, brother of Mike Grier, has just been able to just build this from the bottom up. And Tua today said that the Dolphins, they're not afraid to talk Super Bowl. And that's strange for me because my first season following this team was the Ricky Williams year. The almost 2,000 yards of rushing for Ricky Williams, and crazy to think that now they're in a position to make a run. But I still gotta see it to believe it. Just like the Panthers, it's just like the Panthers. They won around last year. The Panthers did, and now it's just continue to just try to build. I still think the Bills are going to win the division.
Yeah.
But as far as built for the playoffs, I think this Dolphins team is built for the playoffs.
Yeah, and especially if you can get that 5 seed, you're going to be playing the AFC South most likely. It's probably going to be the Titans, who I think are whatever.
Tannehill.
Yeah, I mean, you got Tannehill, whatever. Yeah, like that team
Not
is
scared.
Xavier Howard's going to shut down any of like whatever wide receiver they throw out there. Xavier Howard's going to shut them down. So, if you beat that, then you either you're going to Kansas City or going to Buffalo, and Tua showed he's not afraid. And
and QBs beware with Jalen Phillips on one side, Bradley Chubb on the other, and then you have the best wide receiver duo in the NFL, and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as well.
Good.
So
how fun
good
is
times.
Jalen?
But the Dolphins will be in San Francisco in a few weeks. Will you be attending that game?
I am working on it right now. I think we're trying to make because the Barracuda play. It's I think it's Teddy Bear Toss for the Barracuda game on Saturday, Dolphins game on Sunday. Trying to make a whole weekend out of it. Yes, I'm perfectly trying to. I got the wife's permission. We're working on it, so we're working on the logistics right now. So that is the plan. I'm probably going to try to go with some of my my Niners friend buddies, because of course all my friends are Niners buddies out here. But yes, I know, because then they also play the Chargers the week after. But I think I'd rather go to San Francisco. So I mean,
it's right there for you. So you
I mean, it's both of them are about they're equidistant from me. But yeah, I've been to Levi Stadium a bunch of times. It's a really nice stadium. So not that SoFi isn't a nice stadium from what I hear, but yeah. Anyway, so go Dolphins. I think I think we enjoy our first playoff win in 20 some odd years. It's been I mean, you were just a little guy when the last time they won a playoff game, and then I was in high school last time they won a playoff game. So it's been a long time for me. So all right, that's gonna do it for us. Hope you enjoyed at least a little bit of Dolphins talk on there. I'm JD Young at my fry hole. You can find the show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Locked On Sharks. You can listen wherever you find podcasts at Locked On Sharks, and of course watch on YouTube. Armando, where can the people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at MondoMan12. Follow the show account on Twitter at LO_FLA Panthers. They'll see all my tweets from my personal account, all about the South Florida sports scene. The Marlins' new manager, the Miami Heat, who are now on a 2-game winning streak. One of them was beating the Golden State Warriors the other night, actually.
It's okay. These games don't count. It's the playoffs are the only thing that counts for the Warriors. So
yep. And of course, the Florida Panthers as well that fills the majority of my tweets as well. So you can follow me there as well.
I just have a lot of dumb memes, so that you don't want to follow me. So all right. Until next time, buddy. Bye, friends.
Thank you so much.